1 month from now, we'll be here for the Big East tournament. But today, the Mecca of college basketball and all of basketball, Madison Square Garden, awaits the most anticipated home game for St. John's in better than 2 decades. It is a complete sellout as the Johnnies, resurgent under Rick Pitino, prepare to take on #1 UConn. Hi again, everyone. Alongside the All-America Jim Jackson, Tim Brando, happy to have you with us. Simply put, Jim, no bigger, no better game to have to start your first Saturday in February than this.
Come on, MSG, you got UConn, the #1 team in the country, against St. John's, a surprising 5-5 in the Big East. Been close in games, but not able to close the door.
Right.
Opportunity is this afternoon. It's not going to be easy. There's going to be a flat-out brawl right here in Madison Square Garden.
And both of these teams are coming off midweek rock fights. Here are your starting lineups, sponsored by Jeep. There's only one. The Huskies with Newton, a Player of the Year candidate in this league. Freshman of influence, Stefan Castle. Diarra, you'll notice, getting the start along with the great transfer, Spencer Donovan Klingen, the big fella inside. Dingle, Jenkins, Ledlam, Dunlap, and Joel Soriano. Speaking of Player of the Year candidates for St. John's. And there's the noteworthy absentee, Alex Caravan, with a high ankle sprain in that rock fight we were talking about earlier against Providence at Gamble Pavilion earlier in the week. That means our player to watch, sponsored by Intuit QuickBooks. Get big picture insights for your small business. That's how you business differently. This guy right here, Joel Soriano.
I mean, coming off a monster game, albeit a loss against Xavier, 25 points, and he also had 15 rebounds. His ability to step out and bring Donovan Klingen out of the lane to be very important. Can he, one, control the defensive boards, two, get Klingen in some early foul trouble to put him sitting next to Danny Hurley to give St. John's an opportunity.
Opening tap is controlled to the Johnnies. Dennis Jenkins will run the show. What a leader he's become. Oh, and the iron kind to open for the transfer from Iona, and it's 3-0 St. John's.
Well, keep our eye on that pick and roll with Joel Soriano because of a little drop coverage. You go under, that shot is going to be open for Dennis Jenkins right there at the top. He recognized it and was able to knock it in early.
Klingen running down the errant shot from Newton. Cam Spencer has really been a find, both defensively and offensively. Castle, who's got a great future ahead, turns it over. Jenkins comes the other way. And a reach-in foul on Newton as he was being posted up by Ledlam.
And I like that right there. Chris Ledlam ran the court, which allowed him to have the mismatch inside with Tristan Newton, and the recognition to try to get it to Chris early is why the foul was picked up.
Danny Hurley, whom we had a visit with earlier today, those of you that were with us for our pregame show with Mike Hill and company, very relaxed, looking forward to today's matchup, hoping a few more shots fall than did the other night. That was a root canal game they had against Providence. Diarra brings it out. This kid Castle, the ceiling for him is just tremendous.
And that is the area of the game in between his ears. He has a beautiful stroke, and you and Donnie talked about that against Xavier. But his ability to stretch the defense and knock down that shot opens up his game so much, and you saw that first shot, a lot of confidence as he pulled up and knocked it in.
That was actually against Providence, although I understand why Xavier was on your mind after last night.
Providence, yeah.
Castle has it knocked away by Dunlap. Man, oh man, the movement of the ball, the transition defense is going to be a catalyst today.
Well, both teams don't want the other to get out in transition, so shot selection is going to be very important, what you do on the offensive end. If you take quick shots, long shots, that's going to lead to fast break opportunities for your opponent.
I understand why Xavier was on your mind after last night. Was that some game?
Oh, it was some game. I mean, but both with the Providence, UConn, and St. John's Xavier, I mean, it's just
unreal.
Yeah.
Castle right back at you.
When I talk about transition, the shot goes up if you can't get back. Stephon Castle able to use his body, his athleticism. That time also anticipating that the contact would take place, braced himself, and then kept eyes up on the rim to finish.
Right at the elbow and inside the nail when you see Jordan Dingle, the Ivy League star from Penn, tie the game at 5. This is a great matchup right here. Jenkins, the veteran, on Castle. Newton with the ball fake, gets the late pick. Knows what to do with that teardrop, but credit Klingon for that obstruction to free him up. Soriano corrals the loose ball down around his ankles. Ledlum from downtown. Spencer, count it. Early on, UConn controlling the glass. Soriano trying to set up on the low block. Shot clock down to 5. And it's pulled down by Spencer. Yeah, one and done for St. Johns.
Yeah, outstanding half-court defense. What a rim run that time.
The big guy. Bristol's finest, Donovan Klingon.
And you want to keep your big guy involved. You reward him when he's running the court. That time able to seal defensively inside. But he was the first one out of the gates to get down court and then finish it with a nice dunk inside.
Great passing there. Dunlap down to Dingle on the low block, but those quick hands of UConn disruptive. Tristan Newton with that pilfer. And a return to Cinder. Look at that. In the lane, Klingon picking it up.
This UConn team is so good at exploiting your weaknesses. You turn it over, they take advantage. You miss an assignment offensively, you have penetrators and playmakers. And speaking of which, is Jenkins that time able to get down the lane.
Well, he is the quintessential leader for this team. Came over with Rick from Iona. He knows what Patino demands, and especially on this end of the floor. That's a double dribble brought on by Dingle's defense. But UConn is 6 out of 8, and they're getting them at point-blank range early.
Well, it's not that hard to be efficient when you're able to run the court and get a 0-foot basket inside. Klingon able to knock it in, up 7.
CAAs. Dan Hurley now in his 6th season at UConn, and he talked to his team in one of our huddles with Donnie Marshall and me the other night. He said, fellas, we're going to win this with our defensive tenacity, effort, and championship DNA.
Exactly, and a lot of people feel that this team is more complete than the championship team of a year ago.
Yeah, I think the Spencer addition is one of the reasons for that. Jenkins got caught in the air. Dunlap, that's his spot. That is his spot.
And that's outstanding team defense by UConn, but outstanding patience that time by the Red Storm to continue to move the ball, search for a shot, and Dunlap was able to catch in rhythm and knock in that 3.
Just what Patino wanted with the clock winding down. A really good look for his best perimeter shooter. Castle working in on Dingle. Look at those quick hands. Recovery on the offensive glass, though. Great defensive work. Ejiofor just into the game and heard from immediately coming in for Soriano. Jenkins, you saw the repertoire there. Between the legs, a step-back train.
But the confidence that time by Jenkins to get out in transition and kind of go one-on-one, and now he's extending that pressure against Tristan Newton. Now they're backing back a little bit more, but that's another way. You get defensive stop, Tim, and now you can get out and run, and you're not playing against a set UConn defense.
8-0 run now for St. Johns. After a 12-2 spurt for the Huskies. Newton Up against the clock, another offensive rebound for UConn, and Solomon Ball puts it through the hoop. The freshman from Leesburg, Virginia, by way of Brewster Academy in New Hampshire.
Yeah, and Solomon Ball may have gotten away with a push-off right there on that offensive rebound. The officials didn't call it, and so he was able to kind of grab that up and then knock it in. And speaking of which, talking about somebody coming to play.
And Jenkins let the UConn bench know right away it's his day. And we're tied at 16.
Well, the unquestioned leader for this Red Store team is Danis Jenkins, 11 points already, 3 3-pointers, 4 for 4. So sometimes noon games are tough to get up for, not for Jenkins.
Great maneuver by Ledlam. He read that pass all the way. He started it, and he'll finish it at the line. He saw that telegraph lob and got in the lane quickly.
But look where he's at position-wise. It's because he wasn't buried in the corner, that he was one step away in order to get a hand on it, and then his momentum carried him forward down the court. And like when Donovan Clingan ran off a great defensive play, you reward him. That's the same thing you do with Ledlam that time. You reward him with running hard and playing outstanding half-court defense.
You're wondering why there's so much anticipation for this game. It's because people here know, and they've been starving at St. John's for an NCAA opportunity. They have not won an NCAA tournament game since 2000. Now, we're talking the Mike Jarvis era, okay? So when you put that in perspective, a friend of ours and colleague John Rothstein, who is a magnificent writer and blogger and reporter at CBS, said this is the biggest home regular season game played here for St. John's in 20 years, and I don't disagree with that.
No, it makes a lot of sense, and I think the buzz around the team itself, having Coach Pitino back in the mix, having the #1 team in the country, happens to be in the Big East, adds so much drama, and the potential for this St. John's team to finally get back to the tournament adds to the value of why it's so electric, and we have a sold-out crowd here at MSG.
And by the way, a lot of UConn fans, too, which is a little subject matter that Rick Pitino would love to take up with you, and it'll come up organically with Rick in conversation, by the way. And they're going to get Lewis with the foul, as he got a little too physical trying to body up on Newton that time.
R.J. Lewis right here got the initial tip, and then the grab right there with the left hand around the hip. Easy call for the official. You love the enthusiasm right there to just be a little bit smarter, because what you don't want to do is get this team to be able to gobble up some fouls early and get themselves to the free throw line. So we saw what happened in their last game against Providence, a number of free throws. UConn shot.
It was a promenade left and promenade right to the free throw line for both teams. Newton in a post-up. Leaning in. Again, Ejiofor got him. Reading is going to whistle him for the foul inside. But that kid is physical, too. No Soriano, no problem for the Johnny. The first 20 minutes at Madison Square Garden. Let's go. In the huddle of the Hall of Famer, Rick Pitino.
You cannot leave him. You cannot dig and leave Spencer. Do you understand that? Because if you turn your shoulders, he will go away and make a three. Keep your shoulders so you can see him.
Oh, I love it because it's the simple things. Listen, the scouting report says Cam Spencer, you got to run him off the three-point line. Why? He's a 43% shooter. When you don't do your job and you give up easy points or easy shots early in the game, it will come back to cost you later. And when you're a team like St. John's, when you have a small margin of error, the attention to detail early can help you win games or prevent you from winning games, and you have close games like they've had and they haven't been able to complete.
Talked to Rick yesterday, and he said one of the real keys to the game, first and foremost, is defensive transition. That's number one. And then on top of that, being fundamentally sound. And his point about turning that shoulder, that's about leverage, right? That's about defensive leverage in a lot of respects.
You're able to see the basketball and see your man, so you don't lose sight of him. That's just basic fundamental basketball. But again, this team, shot selection is going to be the key in keeping UConn out of transition. But minimizing the self-inflicted mistakes that give UConn opportunities to score also is going to be the key to walking out of here with the W this afternoon.
In a lot of ways, Newton got bailed out with that foul call with only 1 second left on the shot clock. Jenkins alley-ooping for Soriano, and they're going to get Clingan that time, getting up underneath him, and he'll pick up the foul.
Well, and I'll give that foul opportunity to Danis Jenkins. Why? He extended his dribble, which froze Donovan Clingan in the lane enough to bring him over. That allowed Joel Soriano to get behind him to throw the lob. If he picks up that dribble and tries to throw it ahead of time, that play is not open. So smart play that time by Jenkins.
Soriano played a brilliant game on the road in that defeat at Xavier. He had 25 and 15 with 4 blocked shots. He was the first to come to the press conference when Rick Pitino was hired. He was just so excited about the opportunity to play for Rick Pitino, and the only holdover from the Mike Anderson era. Well, the Johnnies 1 out of 4 from the free throw line. If it becomes a foul shooting fest, and we're likely to see a number of free throws. Right now, UConn has the edge. Newton. Lewis comes down with it.
Well, I mean, 36 free throw attempts for UConn against Providence, making 26, and you figure only 4 for 23 from behind the three-point line. Well, how did you win the game? Well, that's when you plus 13 from the free throw line. It helps a lot when you're not shooting the ball well from the perimeter.
Boy, Soriano upset with himself. A little too strong with that jump hook over Clingan. They want to get Donovan Clingan away from the hoop. Castle too strong, and it's pulled away by Lewis. He's an athlete, but he hasn't been able to play as much or practice, particularly because of injuries. There he is, muscling it in the painted area.
And the challenge with Lewis Jr. is this: the practice time because of his shins. And the schedule. Normally, he would not practice the day before the game, but if you have these close-knit games that they played the other night, he had to practice yesterday in order to get ready for today, and it's going to be the same kind of schedule next week. So not the ideal situation for he or Coach Pitino, but one they have to work with.
Yeah, Rick said it's not his fault. It's just the way it goes, particularly this time of year. Stewart, and a young man from Seattle, comes up empty in his first try from the perimeter. Jalen Stewart, 6'7" freshman. Boy, they are deep, and they are good. #1 team in America. Jenkins, another step back. Too strong. Clingan clears. Just 1 field goal for the Huskies in the last 6. Make it 2 on a run out by Tristan Newton.
Yeah, that can't happen. That's off of a defensive rebound. Tristan Newton was able, I'm not going to say waltz his way to the basket, but basically have a straight line drive without any resistance. Coach Pitino not too happy with that.
Yeah, I'm sure that's going to come up, don't you think, this time out?
You don't think so? I mean, this right here, and then Jenkins kind of gets out the way at the end. R.J. Lewis kind of was on the side the whole time, was never able to get out in front of Tristan Newton.
Think about this for a second. How good is UConn? And many believe, and I agree, they're the most balanced team in college basketball. This time a year ago, you remember this? Tristan Newton was thought of as maybe being the weak link, so to speak, in their club with Jackson on the team and the other veterans that are gone. He was not a pure point guard. And now here he is with numbers that really put him in the race for National Player of the Year.
But another year of experience and understanding how Coach Dan Hurley wants him to play. That's the beauty of where Tristan Newton has grown to. That experience of going through the championship run and the responsibilities that it takes from a point guard perspective to make and analyze the right decisions, place your teammates in the right position to be successful. That's why point guard play is so crucial in winning and losing.
He has the most triple doubles, Donnie, in UConn history. Shabazz Napier is next with 2. He's got 3. He got 31 in that game at Kansas that the Huskies came up just empty in. one of their 2 losses. Naheem Aline, speaking of transfers, former UConn player on the floor for St. John's, number 4 in white. That one's swatted away. Lingen bats it out of there.
Well, it's so tough because Letlam has the opportunity inside, but because Soriano is not a stretch 5, Clingan can kind of hang out in the lane a little bit more. And he was able to take one step and block that. I'd love to see Donovan Clingan block that, but keep it in play. So now you can catch it, kind of like a la Bill Russell back in the day. Keep it in play, get out and break.
Lynn Taylor, number 35, is also out there for St. John's. Beautiful inbounds design and a foul from beyond the arc as Diarra was a little late getting over and picks up the personal. You know, you think about Naheem Aline and the role he played in the latter stages of the season for UConn. What must be going through his mind out there on the deck with the guys he shared a ring with a year ago? By the way, officially, St. John's with only 1 offensive rebound. So Connecticut has certainly done the job on the defensive boards at the outset.
Well, one of the keys is one of the best offensive rebounding teams, not just in the Big East, in UConn, in St. John's, but in the country. And that was an emphasis coming into the game is the shot is up, locate a body, put a body on body, and if it drops in the middle, go get it. You know what I mean? And so they're doing an outstanding job now of not ball watching when someone attempts a field goal.
13 in the game for Jenkins after that final missed free throw. Here's Spencer right on that 3-point line. Rebound taken down off the deck by Letlam. Almost thrown away, but knocked away by Hassan Diarra.
And that time Letlam going for the defensive rebound. I think he stepped on the sideline or on that side.
So they will award the ball, as you mentioned. He was out of bounds. The ball will be awarded to UConn. 5 ties, 6 lead changes. UConn had that 12-2 spurt to get out by 9. This one should be close all the way to the end.
A little zone defense, 2-3 out of this out-of-bounds play by St. John's. The key is to keep the ball in the perimeter out of the middle.
Stefan taking it inside, rejected again. Great work from Glenn Taylor, deflecting that one. An offensive rebound for Letlam, but he turns it over. Spencer again in the passing lane. That's his specialty. Another rejection, this one from Jenkins. Dingle gets it out. Taylor goes the distance in a foul.
I tell you, with some outstanding defense on both ends of the court. UConn at first, and then St. John's able to get out. Big East basketball at its best, baby.
And you feel it. 21-20, St. John's with a lead. I told Danny Hurley before the game today, you were brilliant in our huddles last week. Here he is again in the huddle.
We're getting a road whistle. All right, we got to be tougher than this right now. We got to be tougher than this. Transition defense, not locked in. Too much space for Jenkins right now. And now they're on the offensive glass for the first time. We've been incredibly strong. We've been incredibly strong rebounding the ball. It's our first moment of weakness. It's going to determine the game. Let's go,
Now, I love it because he gave you the positive in regards to what they've done well. But then he reiterated the game plan in regards to the importance of having the defensive rebounding cover. Yep. We gave up one. It may not seem like a lot, but that can come back to cost you if they start to get more. This is a team of St. John's that averages 11 offensive rebounds a game.
Right.
And when they struggle shooting the ball, they can rely on that to get extra opportunities on the offensive end.
Something else to consider, too, is he's gotten the job done on Soriano. No points, no rebounds for Joel. And we're well past the halfway mark of the first half.
Well, but also two volume of shots. He's only had 2 field goals. When he's scoring the ball, he's getting about 10 looks a game. Right now, only 2. So not that the overemphasis has been to isolate and get him the basketball, so he hasn't had a lot of looks as of yet.
Correct.
So you want to give some credit to the UConn defense, of course, but then also offensively, you got to figure out ways to get him some easier looks.
They haven't had many half-court opportunities. It's been more of a transition game.
Yeah. Involve him in some pick and rolls, have him roll into the basket. We almost had a lob for him where he was able to get fouled and get to the free throw line. Unfortunately, missed those two.
A straight line drive. Soriano pinned it on the board. Count the basket.
This time, Newton able to turn the corner. And you talk about the balance of this team, 4 for 23 from 3 against Providence, okay? But because they shoot like 54, 55% from 2, they're so efficient inside of the three-point line. And right now, 12 of their 22 points have come in the paint, being UConn.
Jenkins on the dribble handoff. Behind the back to Soriano. And it goes off the heel. Boy, that was beautifully done.
Yep.
Dana served that one up, and the behind-the-back pass was the fundamentally sound approach, too. Loose ball. We'll say it belongs to Connecticut underneath their own hoop.
Yeah, Newton missed Castle that time in the left-hand corner. He was wide open for 3, but he already identified another pass inside. I tell you what, Castle, was that the game Providence that he needed, the team needed, to see him kind of carry on and continue to grow and be that third option offensively?
In a lot of ways, he sort of helps them with the loss of Jackson, you know, from an athletic point of view, too.
No doubt.
Little ball fake action from Diarra. Can't connect. Tapped out by Soriano to Danis Jenkins. Oh, that was a beautiful pass, but Lewis fell. Slipped. There's Soriano right where he wants it. And a foul. Diarra coming over for the double team with Klingon. And they're going to tag the foul to Klingon, which is number 2. That means Samson Johnson will be forced to enter the game, and Donovan will have to sit.
Well, you think about that. In the last game, he picked up those quick fouls in the first half. He only played 15 minutes against Providence because of that.
Samson Johnson played well.
But Samson Johnson is going to be different. Watch how the pick and roll coverage has changed. Samson Johnson is going to be more out hedging because his ability to guard in space, to hedge and get back is a lot quicker than Donovan Klingon. So the pick and roll defense is going to change now that he's in the game.
Lewis and Soriano with a flush follow. And that may get him going. 25-22. Well, the good news for St. John's, that's his first bucket, and they lead by 3. His first points and first board to go with it. Spencer running the curl. Fading away, can't get it to go. Lewis brings it down. He is a jumping jack. Pull-up time. Hello, how do you do? 27-22. Over a span of almost 9.5, it's 22-8. They're on their feet at Madison Square Garden.
The little things. You want to knock off the #1 team in the country, Tim. You got to just grind it out, and Soriano able to get his first bucket off of the offensive rebound, what they do best, and then in transition, Lewis Jr. able to knock it in. The little things count. The crowd is involved. They weathered the storm, St. John's, early, and now find themselves up by 5.
Don't you think right now Hurley is saying to himself, all right, I knew before the game we didn't have Caravan, but I've just gotten an illustration in the last 8 to 10 minutes of what's missing. Because when everyone else is struggling, Caravan is sort of your eraser. He can get you easy buckets when you really need them most.
I mean, a 6'8" body that is shooting 39% from three. If he gets to the free throw line, he's shooting slightly under 90%. Of course, and he's a court spreader. When he's on the court, he provides space in order for the offense to operate. So many intangibles you lose that are absent when he's not on the court. But like anything else, you got to play with what you have. And trust me, this UConn team is deep enough to figure it out. But St. Johns is not an easy out, as we know.
A team filled with transfers and a couple of young guys, and Soriano the only holdover. And they've gone through a tough stretch, but they've also played really, really well at times. Alley-oop Johnson, and those are the hops we were talking about. And a dime drop that was a thing of beauty. Newton getting it done. 27-24.
Yeah, jump right there by St. Johnson to be able to get out right there, get some help on the backside with Castle and get back.
Soriano waves him off, wants the ISO. Felt the double and passed it out. Lewis over Spencer. Great defense by Cam, the Rutgers transfer. Played so well for Steve Peichel across the river. Newton again, high off the window. Out of bounds to the Johnnies.
Well, let's go back to the pick and roll with Tristan Newton. He wants to get to his right hand, but he draws and pulls the defense with him. Watch here as he comes off and St. Johnson is up top. Right here, watch the drop coverage, pulls the defense. And again, what you want to do, whether that's Soriano or Klingen, you want to put the big who's playing drop coverage in a tough position. I can't leave the lane, but I can't allow the drive to come.
Yeah.
Once they get on the other side, the strong side of the court, that opens it up for a nice lob on the weak side, which we saw work to perfection.
Crossover by Dingle. Spencer takes it down. Newton on a run out. This is Van Kessel. High rising to the top of it, too. 27-26. You can hear that UConn crowd being heard from. They helped sell this building out. A throng making its way down from Connecticut on the Sawmill Expressway. Soriano wants it. St. Johnson on his hip. One bounce and they converge. Great pass. Dingle. Beautiful read and dish from Soriano. Spencer wide open for the trip. Late to rotate. And Rick Pitino letting Dunlap know about it.
Well, didn't he say in the timeout, we can't leave Cam Spencer. We got to know where he's at. So in transition, you got to identify where the shooter is at early. Point, yell, scream, whatever. That time, able to walk right into a three. Another beautiful
What a pass. Everything but the finish. And Jenkins with a frustration foul. No one more upset than Danis right here.
Well, to knock off number one, can't give up open three.
Could be better than I was. I've been getting too much in my head sometimes. You can't overthink it from time to time.
Well, you can't, but he understands his responsibility. This is the Big East, most improved player last year. Okay, so I don't have the shot. The double team is going to come win on the dribble, not on the pass. Watch the convergence, but he's patient enough to identify where the defense is at, but more importantly, where his teammates are at. So playing better doesn't always involve, and we always think about scoring basket, but it's rebounding, playing defense, making plays, being a leader. All of that goes into play when you're talking about playing better. And I think that's something that he's embracing. When he does that, this is a totally different St. John's team.
And out of respect for Mike Hill and his love of R&B and maybe a little blues to go with it, Jim, I'm going to give you a quote from Johnny Guitar Watson. One of Johnny Guitar's biggest hits was A Real Mother For You, and we got one on Fox today.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. But I think it's very important right now. St. John's is in a good situation where I think mentally for them, if they could take the lead in the halftime, you know, what that does for the psyche of this team. But UConn, they're one of the best at closing out halves. So it's not going to be an easy task.
No doubt. Castle, beautiful.
Different. It's so much of a difference now to watch him identify where the openings are at and feel confident about taking them. Before, there was a little hesitation, a little question, should I go? But I'm telling you, that Providence game, I think, opened up his eyes and made him feel a lot more comfortable and confident offensively.
Yeah, he's got 9 to lead the way now. Count it, and a foul. When Ledlum comes in, he's so intelligent with the ball, and he abused Stewart on this dribble drive.
I love Chris Ledlum. Why? Because he's an undersized forward that plays extremely hard, plays within the confines of his game. If you want to play small ball, he's aggressive and can rebound. Look, 7.6 rebounds at 6'6". Okay? He's going to battle bigger opponents because he's strong enough. I told him before the game, I think there's a place for you at the next level. But right now, you got a lot of business to finish right here at St. Johns. But a value add, most definitely, and a great partner to Joel Soriano.
Newton, Spencer, Castle, Jalen Stewart, and Samson Johnson, the five on the floor for Connecticut, with 2:19 and counting in the first half. Dribble handoff to Newton, and Jenkins got him. And remember that cheap foul that Jenkins picked up after he missed that give and go, because now you look up before halftime and he's got 2. They're going to need him on the floor late in this game.
But that's tough coverage, too, because of so much movement off the ball created by UConn in this offense that you're constantly in motion. And that time he had to help switch, get back and try to guard a dribble handoff or a handoff up top and got caught on the inside of Newton.
Well, he just got some good news. The officials changed the whistle and went to Ledlum, so Danis with just the 1 foul. And it was a cheap one. Rick still wants to talk to him, so he will sit for a moment. He was very fortunate that that foul was given to Ledlum. Well, they've confirmed it, that it is Jenkins, so they did change it right back to Jenkins.
Yeah, and that's what was obvious, because Ledlum wasn't in the play, and that's why Coach Pitino took Jenkins out the game.
Absolutely.
So important last 2 minutes and 8 seconds with Janis out of the game, that offensively this team continues to operate and function at a high level.
It means that Dingle now has to run this show in the last 155 and counting. Soriano triple team. Somebody's got to be free, and it's Dingle. Aline, I beg your pardon with that one. Naheem puts it in.
Yeah, great patience. And that time the double team on Soriano came on the catch. So you can see the mindset behind Danny Hurley is that he's not going to allow Soriano to be comfortable with what the defensive coverages are. But the patience got Aline a nice little jump shot.
10 lead changes in the first half. Cross-court pass, and another one nailed by Stefan Castle. The Covington, Georgia kid, 5-star recruit, has gotten over that minor procedure that was done that cost him 5 games early in the year. He is money today. Dingle, fouled by Samson Johnson on the reach, and Danny's beside himself up there. Hurley, absolutely apoplectic. He'll give us some good choreography over there.
I mean, what the key is, Samson Johnson here, covering, reaches in, and our TV is a little out right now, so we're having little issues that really couldn't see if he got a piece of that, so excuse me for not being definitive.
Let's just say he was demonstrative enough defensively that he got a whistle.
Yeah.
Right? And speaking of demonstrative, his head coach can be exactly that. Although I did talk to him this week at pretty good length, and he said to me, Jimmy, he said, you know, nothing really changed for me after winning the national championship. He said my place at the family table improved. But I mean,
he could match his brother.
Yeah,
you know,
and his dad.
And his dad as far as championships. But I will say this: I think the growth of Coach Hurley has been when to dial it back in, that his aggressive nature doesn't impact him. There's Big Bob right there. His nature doesn't affect negatively his team.
Yep, no question.
And that's growth.
So many ways he reminds me of young Rick Pitino at Providence. What he had to learn about controlling his temper in his early days. Turnover, 3-on-1. It's a lean. Just tremendous defensive recovery by UConn there.
I think it missed an opportunity right there. I think Dingle was out in front, but this is very good team defense right here. And then the hustle right now, I think you give it up. You give it up and you force a defender who was back. I couldn't see because once again, the TV is a little big, but that might have been the error right there on back. Give it up quickly. You might get it back.
A lean off the inbounds. That's a 2 just inside the arc against his old team. Full court pressure after the made basket. Shot clock off, and UConn holds for 1. They're on their feet. The Johnny's defense snuffs them out to close the half. Very entertaining first 20.
Both teams shot the ball extremely well. I think St. John's, the ability to get to the free throw line is what helped them going into halftime.
12 lead changes, 8 ties. That's the end of the first half. After the break, Mike Hill, Donnie Marshall, and Laval Jordan in our Los Angeles studios. You're watching Big East basketball on Fox.
What great teams do. I know it's a cliche, but this is what championship teams do. They spread it around, they share the basketball, they take their opportunities, pull up jumpers in transition, dunks. I mean, it really
Because to beat the #1 team, you got to do the little things and do them well consistently. You're not going to play a perfect game, but you got to be perfectly imperfect, so to speak, in order to win. And again, 1 half is done. This UConn team is tough, so they'll dig in a little bit more, probably get Klingon involved in this second half early.
Yeah. Castle and Newton were responsible for 22 of the Huskies' 36 points in the first half. Here he is. Pick and roll with Klingon. Well defended that time by Levlin. And they award the ball to St. Johns, and Dan Hurley already up off the bench saying, hey, hang on just a minute. We're getting a road whistle today.
Yeah, that was good. Weak side defense that time in rotation to kind of take away the lob pass to Klingon.
Edlum could not recover as he was going to the baseline. Jenkins did not anticipate that move. They're very fortunate to hold on to the ball. 15 to shoot. Connecticut has not been able to get to the free throw line. Only 4 opportunities for them today. St. John's 7 of 12 at the stripe. Jenkins. Dunlap in the corner. Newton clears.
Yeah, good find that time by Jenkins, and that play opened up because of the roll and the lob threat of Soriano to the rim, and Dunlap got a clean look, a late contest by Spencer.
Speaking of Spencer, off the curve. Off the front iron, pulled down by Soriano. Dingle a pull-up. Length of the floor to Castle. Late to get back. Cannon and a foul. No, they're going to wave it off. Say that the foul was committed prior to the shot. Once again, the Huskies leak out quickly, and that's something Quick Rick does not like.
Well, they talked about how good, St. John's was in the first half of limiting the transition opportunities. And that time, off of 2 dribbles, Tristan Newton was able to get it up to Stephon Castle to pick up a foul.
Newton trying to one pick and roll, goes right into a triple team. Oh, they're going to get a whistle and a foul. I don't know.
Jump ball. I thought it was a jump ball. I thought Newton driving into 3 Red Storm defenders. Let's see if there's a reach down. I think that's a jump ball.
I'm with you. And by the way, James Breeding, who made the call, was by the baseline official. I think the official on the backside, Armstrong, I think he had Lamar Simpson had a tie ball.
Yeah.
He did. Off the pick from Klingon. This kid is just tremendous. His balance, and as you mentioned, the game is just slowed down enough for him now.
When you have talent, physical talent, a high IQ for the game, now you slow the game down. Now you become a completely different player. And we're a game and a half in, and we're seeing a different Stephon Castle.
He has 14 now. Jenkins, great defense there. Saves it. Length of the floor to Ledlam. What a play by Jenkins. That's the value of his staying on the floor. And the need for Patino is that he not pick up an early third foul.
But you see how quickly he looked up in transition as soon as he was able to identify that he had the ball. He immediately looked up and hit Ledlam for that transition basket.
Spencer. Nylon.
The teams know how to respond, don't they?
Sure do. Alex Caravan looking on, unable to go today with that boot on his right ankle, suffering that high ankle sprain in the second half on Wednesday night against Providence. Those of you who just joined us, the best shooter that averages just under 15 and 7 out of the game today. Angle, great feed to Soriano, and Klingon picks up the foul. And again, Danny Hurley has seen quite enough and is well out of the coaching box. That's 3 on Klingon.
Well, Klingon helps, recovers, and I think they called that on the body. Up top, I think Klingon was good, but let's see if the body contact with his left arm into the waist area. I thought it was a good defensive play that time by Klingon. Yes, it was minimal contact. The officials thought otherwise.
As long as you go straight up.
Yeah, but I don't know if they called it on the body with that left hand.
Correct.
Again, the contact was there, but I don't know. In that particular, you got bodies banging a lot. You're going to have some contact just because you got big bodies inside. But unfortunately for Klingon, he picks that up, and now that's his 3rd foul.
I don't know that people realize this about Donovan. He's just a second-year player and a very young man, that's a very young competitor, but he does have a tough side to him. There's a nastiness to his game, particularly when he's going up against a big-time post player like Soriano.
Well, how many times have we seen in college basketball, too, that post players kind of take a little bit longer to develop?
Yep. St. Johnson in traffic. Great work defensively. Soriano there to help Ledlam.
But that's an example of Ledlam giving up height, but strength-wise, he was able to keep St. Johnson from getting comfortable, eventually missing that shot.
Ledlam in traffic. Lewis fights for it. Newton clears. 3-on-2 for Tristan. Diarra. 43-40 Huskies. Jenkins has that other gear. And they got a block. You could feel the collective gasp on the St. John's sideline. They needed a block, not a player control foul. Up and down the floor we go. In the Mecca, in the Big East.
Not a lot of pressure for him to carry the team. That's why he was able to kind of find his own way, and now is paying huge dividends.
Hurley says he's physically and mentally the most emotionally ready any freshman he's ever had at UConn. Turnover, Spencer again in the middle of it all. Newton trying to work pick and roll with Johnson. Good defense by the Johnnies there, and the tap out goes to Lewis. 3-on-2. And he'll solo.
And sometimes you can get yourself in trouble. That was a 1-on-3. But because he was so creative on the baseline, the defense left him, and that gave him an opportunity, despite being outnumbered, to still be able to score that.
I think they anticipated that he'd give it up.
Yeah, exactly. They left him and gave him the spin back to the basket.
43-42. Spencer, teardrop. Johnson on the offensive boards. Right back up again. Can't get it to go, and it's run down again by Lewis. Every loose ball going to Lewis now. And another turnover. Tried to lob it. Johnson will have none of it. Diarra. Ooh, a little shake and bake in midair.
I tell you, underrated, but the pass from Tristan Newton to get it to Diarra right there. Softly hit the deck, but then bounced right into his rhythm to be able to catch it and finish it.
And Johnson will pick up the foul on the reach.
Passing is such a premium. These opportunities in transition, you can't let get away, especially in a tightly contested game. So not passing the ball and putting it where your teammate can be successful to get to will cost you. And right now, some excellent execution in transition by UConn.
Lewis on that Euro move. Looks like he induced the foul from Spencer. He was about to take steps, but they're going to whistle Kessel with the foul. Number 2 on Stefan. That's an outstanding staff Dan Hurley has. Kamani Young, Tom Moore, Luke Murray. Lewis off the inbound, uses the glass.
And now by making that basket, now you're able to look at the pressure right now. St. Johns is able to put on excellent one out of bounds. You talked about that, and now the pressure is extended. And a lot of times the pressure won't force a team to commit a turnover, but mentally and physically it wears on you over the course of time, and hopefully as you bleed into the game, it can pay off by forcing their opponents to make some costly errors down the stretch of the game because of that pressure.
Without Caravan, UConn being outscored by the St. Johns bench 14-4 in today's game. Diarra has done a nice job, and certainly Kessel has picked up his play to go along with Newton, and a whistle on that dribble drive. A little woofing going on between Newton and Lewis. James Breeding gets in there. Ejiofor gets the foul, his second. And Klingon will check in now for the Huskies. Spencer will check out.
Well, interesting, too, because he checks in, Donovan Klingon, when Joel Soriano is on the bench.
Right.
So with Ejiofor, not the same kind of post-up threat. So I think Coach Danny Hurley feels a little bit more comfortable inserting Klingon in and he turns it over.
Yes, he does. Lewis all the way to the rack. Here comes the crowd at the Garden. Really feels like a tournament game with an even house, really. Connecticut probably 60-40, you'd have to say. Spencer just draining tray after tray.
And Rick, Coach Pitino is pleading to let Lametta. You can't give Cam Spencer that much space. You got to get up into his jersey, force him to be a driver. And the response in that championship DNA on full display by UConn right now.
He has 12 on 4 or 5 shooting. Spencer. Lewis straight. Spencer again. That's what he does for you. Newton, straight line drive. Counted and a foul. Hurley is loving it. chest bumping Solomon Ball.
I think you and Donnie mentioned you can't replace Andre Jackson, but you have two players in Cam Spencer and Stephon Castle together that give you the energy and athleticism defensively and playmaking. That anticipation set up the transition where you have numbers, and once again, Newton able to take advantage of it.
Well, Klingon came in, turned it over, but you know what? He still delivered some goods in terms of getting a stop and a quick out.
Well, and I think it's smart, too, right here with Coach Hurley by bringing Donovan Klingon out. Because the thing that you don't want to do, you're ahead in this game by 3 now.
We'll make it 5.
We'll make it 5, I mean. Make it 5, and then you did turnover here. 12 minutes left. You don't want to risk him picking up a foul.
Absolutely. Yep.
When you don't have to have him in the game.
Patino talking to his floor leader, Danis Jenkins. They've gotten a little sloppy with the ball in the open court. Rick would really prefer having more of a half-court game. Connecticut flourishes when you get out in the 94 feet.
But we saw with UConn, what makes them such a formidable team to repeat is that they can win games when not shooting the ball well, not getting out of transition.
Without a doubt.
And that's the beauty of having the versatility, the roster versatility to be able to win those type of games.
Castle turned down the look when Ledlum met him on the baseline. He'll try it again. And he'll get to the line. Largest lead in the game for the Huskies was 9. That came very early.
Well, the difference with the beginning of this half, St. Johns only 3 turnovers in the first half. They had 5 this half in the second half. Or, you know what I mean, we still have 12 minutes left. Yep. So that means that you're not having opportunities at the offensive end. And then conversely, you're providing opportunities for UConn to get out and take advantage of those turnovers.
That's 4 on Ledlum, the Ivy Leaguer from Harvard. He'll be forced to sit. Soriano checks in. Ejiofor also out of the game. And Drisa Traore, 55, will get his first opportunity on the floor for St. John's. So all of those fouls on Ledlum in this half. He's picked up 4 in less than 8 minutes. 4 of St. John's 6. And Connecticut will be in the bonus from this point forward.
And UConn is a 73% team, free throw shooting team. To drive the ball, be able to get some freebies at the line.
Soriano working on Samson Johnson. Yes, and a foul. Big time. This one's not for the faint of heart. Number 1 on the line. For the line. No easy games when you're number 1 in this league, but sure helps to have this addition, Cam Spencer.
I thought at the beginning of the season, this was probably one of the better transfer portal pickups in the country. Shoot 43% from behind the three-point line. Second in the Big East. He keeps the court spread. You don't have to run a lot of plays for him. He's smart, he's intelligent, and he gives you don't think about this, but we saw it on the defensive end.
Yeah.
Some high-quality defensive size. At his size, at 6'4", he can see over the defense. He doesn't hurt you. Does all the little things that you need to do, especially when you lose a shooter like Hawkins from last year's team. How do you replace that? Well, he's not as dynamic as a scorer, but he's still been knocking those threes when you need it.
Like politics, a lot of times fans are provincial in the sense that they believe all power programs are local, right? Spencer comes over and he's hearing, well, this is Connecticut now. This is the Big East. And oh, by the way, he flourished in the Big Ten at Rutgers for quite some time. And if you ask Steve Michael right now, who's the best transfer in the country, he'd tell you in a heartbeat, it's Cam Spencer.
Yeah, and it's those intangibles that he brings to the table. He's, I think a lot of people were probably surprised that didn't see him play. He can put the ball on the floor.
Absolutely.
And it's a lot more comfortable than probably what people thought, because probably identified him as just being a three-point shooter.
I think some of that may have been, well, you know, Connecticut's got, it's such a power program, so many eyeballs on every one of their games. Loose ball, there's Kessel. Dingle dislodged the ball. He had to regather, and then with power, he went up and collected the hoop and some harm.
Well, why this works is because earlier in the season, even maybe before the Providence game, he may not have come off that pick and roll with intentions to score. He may have come off with intentions to pass. But because now he's focused, he's identified where he's at, he not only was able to see the opening, but when the play got a little disjointed, he still was able to focus, concentrate, keep his eye on the ball, pick up the foul, and get to the line.
Glenn Taylor is back out there. Lewis just checked in for Traore. And that three-point play extends the lead back to 7. Huskies have scored on their last 4 trips. So it's Lewis, Soriano, Jenkins, Dingle, and Glenn Taylor. 5 on the deck for St. Johns. Jenkins, off the glass, he stays with it. Klingon picks up the 4th.
And that's just great up. As a shooter, you know where the ball is going to carry him off at. That time, Jenkins was able to grab his own shot, and Klingon got caught right here, reaching in, right at the end, right there.
Oh, yeah, got him on the arm.
Yep.
So here's the dilemma for Hurley. Klingon's got 4. Samson Johnson has 3, regardless of who's playing his post.
Yeah,
Soriano should feel pretty comfortable when he gets the ball to go right at whoever's on it.
Yeah, if I'm, Danny Hurley, I'm getting him out the game. You know, your value is in his rim protection, Klingon. Samson Johnson is going to give you the athleticism, so I would think that depending on how this game plays out in the next 5 to 6 minutes, that Klingon will be regulated to the bench until probably after, under 5 to 6 minutes.
And Patino's going to have to keep Ledlam on the pine, one would think, until maybe the last 5 minutes of the game. As you see, Naheem Aline coming back onto the floor as Dingle sits down. Those were Jenkins' first points of this half. 9 minutes gone by. He's trying to deal with Stefan Kessel, and he's been a load today as Kessel. Overplay by Lewis. Solomon Ball collects it. Under 10 to shoot. Kessel. Again, rejected by Soriano. Right to Spencer. 1 to shoot. It belongs to St. Johns.
And that defensive possession started by the pressure of Danish Jenkins up front of Stefan Kessel. That made the UConn offense a little bit more uncomfortable, forced them to operate a little bit higher, and as a result, got a turnover. Excellent defensive possession that time by St. Johns.
Every possession is so important in the college game. Lewis posting up on Kessel. Great defensive work. Kessel's on the deck. It's a 4-on-5, but Diarra navigates down to the baseline. Kessel finally gets to the forecourt. Johnson! Past Soriano.
That time Johnson had the mismatch inside because Soriano had to go out and guard Diarra on the perimeter. But once the ball was swung back, excellent inside.
Jenkins working on Diarra. Taylor in traffic. Finds Lewis in the corner. Rebound by Solomon Ball. UConn looking for their largest lead. And another whistle. on that dribble drive. They are just relentlessly attacking the 10.
But I want to go back to recognizing when you have a mismatch. Right here, see Soriano up top on the air, and Jenkins is inside. But look, the mismatch is Samson Johnson. Okay, you can't get it to him there, swing it up top, and now it's over the top, and now you're able to get the basket. The good teams are going to make you pay when there are opportunities on the court, especially mismatches. You couldn't get the initial pass in, that's okay. You didn't force it. You got it up top. Samson pivoted, identified where he wanted it, pass on time, 2 points inside.
Spencer is just money at the stripe, 90% on the season. Dunlap checks back into the game, replacing Lynn Taylor. Huskies are 9 of 9 at the free throw line as a team today. Make it 10. And they've equaled their largest lead at 9 points. Just over 9 minutes left. Got Samson Johnson away from the hoop. Dunlap, oh, Heartbreak Hotel. That one halfway down and out. Beautiful pass. Soriano will get the foul. He thought he had all ball. May have gotten him with the body.
When I talk about passing is a premium. Yeah. Okay, Diarra right here in between two defenders, able to softly get that bounce pass in. It bounces off nicely off the deck. Castle able to catch, and Soriano.
He definitely got him with the body.
Well, they may have called it up top on the hand. I'm not for sure.
Yeah.
I thought he cleanly got a good piece of it.
No question.
That's the beauty about this UConn team. You have multiple players that can get the ball out in transition and create an opportunity. That time, a beautiful bounce pass by Diarra to Castle.
First double-digit lead for either team today. So St.Johns in need of a run. Jenkins runs the show. Let's go Huskies chant begins. Beautiful pass by Soriano. Lewis taking it. And he draws the foul inside. That's Johnson. That's 4 on him. So Dan Hurley now with both of his low post players with 4.
This is what I like about that play there. The ball eventually got back to Soriano, and that's important because the double team is going to come when Cleveland is not in the game. I do think he needs to touch it a little bit more in the post, not initially, but as you shift the defense, because now you're going to be able to find on the weak side an advantage. I think you should run the offense through Soriano a little bit more in that half-court set to create those mismatch opportunities on the weak side.
UConn will go with a very small lineup. The other night, at one point, in the Providence game, Caravan was the tallest player on the floor. Again, it shows the versatility and dexterity of this Huskies team.
Very important here. Now, this is where defensive rebounding, when you're a smaller unit, is going to be paramount against this tough St. John's team.
Save almost by Diarra. The pass was a little long from Newton. Sort of an unforced error there by the star guard. Johnny's hoping to chip away. Rick Pitino's club down 10. 10 turnovers, many of them unforced by UConn. That was one of them. Lewis, a show and go. This kid from UMass is a difference maker. 11 and 5 today, 62-54. Another quality transfer. Jalen Stewart, freshman, giving it up to Spencer. Dean trying to check him. Up and over and in.
Well, I tell you, he can put it on the deck. And that time the spin created enough space to get that fall-away shot up and over the top.
Another great strip. Going the other way, and a foul will be spotted in the backcourt on the pass. Again, when they get in the up and down full court game, Jim, it is advantage Connecticut.
Well, advantage Connecticut with Cam Spencer. Why? He's proving to be more than just a three-point.
Is just that pretty today in the 5 boroughs. Our game summary sponsored by Progressive. Get slam dunk savings today. And those points in the paint may be a little more easily come by for St. John's with the 4 fouls on both the low post players for Connecticut. But right now, it's Connecticut's backcourt that's controlling the game's pace.
They are, especially in the second half. They force some turnovers. Look, in the first half, St. John's did an excellent job of valuing the basketball. Only 3 turnovers. But in the second half, they have a total of 6 and giving up 7 points off those turnovers. So it's the little things that make the separation when you're playing against a versatile team like UConn. Despite Klingen being in foul trouble, they can beat you in so many different ways. And as a team like St. John's, you're not afforded the opportunity to squander some offensive possessions by turning it over and not taking good shots.
50 combined points for Kessel, Spencer, and Newton. So it's their backcourt that is really winning this game for them, particularly with the last line of defense, both Klingen and Samson Johnson with Ford dealing with Soriano.
Well, but in the huddle, during the timeout, Coach Danny Hurley was talking about no loose ball turnovers and protecting the defensive glass. Again, you're undersized, so you don't want to be caught in rotations where you can't get a body on somebody. So it's very important that your initial attack defense, you keep your guys in front, and when the shot goes up, find the body, identify, and block out.
Nope. Got into the line 10 times and made them all today. There's Soriano. They're trying to get it to him. But again, disrupted, those little guys all surrounding him. Newton, Stewart, Castle, Diarra, Spencer. Those arms ever present.
Yeah, that time Soriano got it deep. He probably had some contact, but that's a shot you got to convert inside when you have the mismatch to your favor.
Well, they're going for the jugular now. Spencer rattles home a 3, and the lead suddenly has ballooned to 15. 19 in the game for Spencer. It's getting away from the home team. Still plenty of time to play. Dingle off the curl. Jenkins finds him. 13 of Spencer's 19 in this half. He wants it again. Castle finds him. Beautiful pass to Diarra. Out to Newton for the tray. Soriano clears. Now Dingle again running right into Diarra. That's a bit of a roadblock, out of bounds to St. John's.
And the ball movement, the passing, that time the little miscommunication with Dingle and Lewis Jr. to switch. It looks like, that time Jenkins was like the switch, but when you switch with Cam Spencer, you have to be up on him. Again, Rick Pitino talked about he can't give him space.
Dingle off the inbounds. So after falling behind by 15, 2 quick buckets. And the lead down to 11.
Plenty of time, but you got to tighten it up here on the defensive end. You need multiple stops, 2 to 3 possessions where you get stops for St. John's.
Lewis trying to shadow Spencer. He was out of bounds. But how often do we say that in the college game? As great as this half has been for Spencer, he lost sight of where he was on the floor. It happens. Not a live ball turnover, but one Dan Hurley did not want to see.
No, but one Coach Rick Pitino wanted to see, get your offense another opportunity to cut into this lead. And Samson Johnson back in the game, guarding Soriano.
And Ledlam back in the game. Jenkins, that runner, short-armed it. Jenkins is really the leader of this team, but so much for him to deal with on this end of the floor today with the talent and the wealth of that talent in the backcourt. And Lewis is going to pick up that foul.
St.Johns foul, that's on number 12, R.J. Lewis Jr. That's his second. Red score local limit.
And you don't want to put these guys on the line. They've not missed today. They've been perfect at the free throw line. All those uncharacteristic misses that they had at Campbell Pavilion in that bloodbath against Providence, they're making them today. 14 of 14 overall, 10 of 10 this half.
You know, finding ways to win games in tough environments. And again, it goes back to the balance of this UConn team. They beat you because they have some excellent perimeter shooters, but they also can get 2 feet in the paint, get out in transition. So speaking of which, that time Danish Jenkins is able to get it. More importantly, now the defense can set so they can press up a little bit.
Well, we effectively announcer jinxed them. They did miss their first free throw, and they got the run out for a bucket.
Hold on, you speaking French. You saying we. You said it.
I'm all about team.
No.
I'm all about team.
You selective when it comes to team. That's how you want to screw me in on.
Soriano clears as Diarra comes up empty. Dingle in traffic. Oh boy, Soriano had a chance for a putback and it went right through his hands. Right through his hands.
But I think that play kind of exemplifies his afternoon.
Yep.
Kind of not all the way in sync. That's an easy grab, putback finish, but when you're not in sync, even the simplest play seems like impossible to complete.
Newton, not this time, and Lidlam clears. And other than the 4 fouls he's picked up, he's played well. They need him and his athleticism and his experience on the floor. Jenkins, he's lost his confidence, and that's not good news for the St. Johns team. They need him at his best against Kinetics. And the clock all the way down to the 3:10 mark. Pick and roll time. Johnson comes up empty. This is a must-make here for Dingle. Way too strong. And the air has really come out of the balloon for St. Johns on offense.
Yeah, UConn kind of tighten the screws up in this second half. Really executed with proficiency despite having some foul trouble issues. But they did all the little things, and they capitalized off some of the internal errors of St. Johns. And that offensive rebound right here, another possession, time to bleed the clock. Once again for UConn.
And that was a rare miss for Spencer. He got that rebound off the deck. Now on the switch, Soriano having to deal with him. He got him airborne, and that was an easy foul. 18-9 on the glass in this half for the Huskies. Most balanced, yes. Best team in the country today. Madison Square Garden before a packed house. The Huskies really asserting themselves in the second half in large measure because of this man, arguably the best transfer in the country.
Yeah, he'll keep opposing teams' defensive honest. And again, I talked about the versatility of this young man. It's not just I'm gonna knock down threes, but I can do this as well. I can put it on the deck, I can make plays off the dribble, and then if you give me the light of day, I'm gonna make you better. I mean, you talking about a value add, a value add to go into the portal, to be able to get an experienced player at 22 years old that can, from a versatility perspective, beat you from behind the arc, but also we saw some outstanding defense from Cam Spencer. I think you give Coach Pikel a little bit of credit for that there at Rutgers, too.
Indeed. And by the way, what Castle did in the first half you simply can transfer to Spencer in the second.
But that's the versatility in the roster for UConn, which makes them such a tough out, is that your scouting report is going to say, okay, let's take away Clingan inside, let's take away Newton over here, let's take away Cam over here. But the next thing you know, Stephon Castle has now put a dent into that where he can play well. You know, Diarra can hit some shot. Caravan now becomes hot because he's open.
Yeah. So
you can't take everything away from this UConn team.
Yeah, to think that they've done this without Caravan available to stretch the defense out really tells you a lot about this Huskies team. Let alone on a straight line drive uses the window. The trouble is, at this stage, you got to press and you got to go full court, which plays right into the hands of a team with this many guys, and yet here we go. Aline had it, but a return to Cinder as Castle slapped it right away. Thought you had the turnover, and then another pilfer for the Huskies. St.Johns playing straight up. They do not want to foul. Time just winding down on them. This has been systematic for the Huskies. They're going to be number one for a while, it appears. There's a lot of balance in the country this season. Johnson just picked up his fifth. A lot of great teams. You can argue 10 to 15 probably think they can win it all. But no one has the ability to play so many different ways and beat you.
That's the key. I think if you start looking at Houston and Kansas, the different teams at the top of the ledger, North Carolina's in there. But as far as a complete unit, I think there's none better complete-wise than UConn.
Absolutely.
They can play in transition. They can knock down threes. They can play in half court. They can get ugly. And they have the roster to rotate 8 or 9 guys in that can be effective at any time.
That's a hot Butler team that's going to be coming in to see them on February 6th. What a job Thad Matta has done, huh? Telford was unguardable last night in that win in Omaha. One of the most enjoyable games I've seen this year on television.
Well, you think about what Butler been able to do.
Yep.
The St. John's team been able to do, and Providence.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, with some, now Thad has been there, this is his second year, but with Coach Pitino, and then, you know, it gives you, it's a reason why this league is so tough.
All right. And a lot of opportunities, and more opportunities for quad ones for St. John's. And right now, you know, Mike, of course, he's got them in. There's a double team. And a quick foul. I think at the timeout, I think they may have got a timeout beforehand. Yes, they were going to foul, but Dan Hurley got the timeout. To 10. They had 3 shots to get it closer, missed all 3, and the Huskies in the middle of just another workmanlike road effort to get a big-time W in the Big East.
Road went quality. St. John's, other end of the stick once again, played some tough games. 2 losses by 1 to Marquette, Creighton.
Look at that pressure.
Yep.
I mean, a lot of pressure. I think they did get a foul. Or they just ruled it out of bounds. I think they just ruled it out of bounds. Well, it was
a lot of stuff going on.
A lot of stuff going on. No foul called. They're attacking Clingan now. That's a foul. I don't think there was any doubt.
No doubt
about that one.
No.
Donovan was able to muster a smile and go to the other end. This is a young man, for those of you that may have forgotten. I know this is not news to the people at the Nutmeg State, but his mom, Stacy, was just an incredible basketball player, and unfortunately was a victim of breast cancer. And entire family and where he grew up, the support system was so good. He's a young man of great depth and character. She was a tremendous women's basketball player. And he possesses so much of God-given talent that he inherited from her. Only 15 minutes for him today, but they were valuable. Jenkins looks to launch and instead gives it up to Ejiofor, and he's not able to get it done. Again, the defense of Connecticut just collapsing on those bigs, and it is Ejiofor that commits the foul. UConn fans now standing up here in Madison Square Garden. It was mentioned organically earlier in the year about this being a sellout, and Rick Pitino pointed out, well, yeah, this is the only team that will sell out against, because Connecticut will bring all those fans. It'll be a neutral court. And he said, I'd really like to see that game at Carnesecca. Well, and by the way, it didn't take long for the phone to ring, and this game is right here, and it'll probably stay here for quite some time.
Well, he wanted it to celebrate New Carnesecca's 100th birthday in order to do it at the home gym.
Correct.
Now, I get it.
I think there was a method, though, to pointing it out there.
Oh, big time. Big time. Big time.
Well timed.
I mean, now, the crowd didn't disappoint here. It's unfortunate that St. John's, was up against a buzzsaw here with UConn.
I'd say the crowd was 60-40 in his favor today.
No, it was, especially early when St. John's heading into the second half had a little bit of control here.
Jenkins really struggled, and I think
In the second half.
Yeah, the
second half he struggled.
defensive responsibilities had a lot to do with that. And the coronation of Connecticut well underway as they dribble it out. Enjoyed it as always, Jim.
Always, brother. Nothing like it. MSG, #1 team in the country, did what they had to do, backs up against the wall a little bit, but kind of showed that championship, that champion DNA.
Mutual admiration from both staffs. 62 points scored by Spencer, Castle, and Newton en route to this comfortable, really, second half 13-point victory for the #1 Huskies of UConn. I want to thank Brad Weimer, our producer. Today's game was directed by Dustin Denty. Tremendous work by our entire crew. Jackie Chung, our broadcast associate. Many thanks to all of them, and for all of our crew back in Los Angeles in the studio. And Ethan Cooperson, our statistician. This is Tim Brando saying so long. We'll get it out to Los Angeles in our studios with Mike Hill on the other side.
5-star, playing like a 5-star freshman today, Stephon Castle. Career high 21 points. UConn gets